Well, TGI Friday, how you doing? How has your week been, more importantly? Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Friday, August 22nd podcast. You know, we've set up that we were going to have possibly a change of direction in the markets. We had that on Monday and in the weekly video. Bingo. This Sun Square Uranus is a big aspect. It's big in financial astrology, and it has been big in our lives. But we have a couple of other things obviously happening today. Those of you who are Virgos, hey, what about Virgo? Let's don't overshadow that the sun moves into Virgo this afternoon at 4:33 Eastern, kicking off a month of Virgo season. And that will happen under this super void of course moon in Leo that started yesterday afternoon at 2:15. We keep our clock to Eastern just to keep it uniform. And the moon will not join the Virgo party until early Saturday morning at 1:25 a.m. Slips into Virgo. We'll spend a little time on Virgo season next week. I want to keep this close here to focus on the bigger aspect of at least what's affecting us primarily, and that is the Sun Square Uranus on Sunday morning. It happens at 3:15. Now that's Eastern in the morning while you're sleeping. We have been under its influence all week, as you have seen reflected. If you follow the markets at all, you saw a big change of direction. And actually the metaphor of what's taking place there, or what took place there this week, is symbolic of the rest of what I'm seeing in this chart for everything else. Because you don't stop a raging bull just in its tracks. This market has been very strong, but what stopped it in its tracks this week were two things that happened on Tuesday. One is that Mr. AI himself, Sam Altman of ChatGPT, said that he sees a parallel between current AI situation and the dot-com bubble of the late 90s. And I agree with him on that. And then on the same day, MIT, yes, that MIT, released a report that 95% of the corporate implementations and obviously expenses spent on AI in order to cut costs have failed, and they said with zero return. So I'm wondering, we'll see, if this changes the current market leadership, which has been stacked in AI. And that is the metaphor that I see unfolding for us personally with this as well. So there's too much in the chart, and what I did is I boiled this down to something that I just wanted to talk through with you from my notes. So rather than saying this is aspecting this, and here's a quindecile or quindecile between this and this, which there are quite a few, there's some really, and I went over and looked at the Uranian stuff, and then I boiled it all down because there was so much coming from this that I thought, let's just talk through what all of this means. When we have our webinar on the eclipses on the 31st, if we want to, we can sidetrack into some of this and explain some of these pockets of where this kind of pattern that I'm seeing is coming from. And that would be a good reason for you to sign up for the webinar. If you have not already, we'd love to have you there. You can find it at hightimelineliving.com. But here's my collective thought on this. So one of the things is, like we said, there's this shift that took place, and we said that Saturn and Uranus can do that to the markets. But also I know that a lot of us are feeling this general angst with ourselves, our family, our coworkers, our friends. Everybody, it seems like, is feeling this to some degree or another. There's just this uncertainty in the air. It's like something isn't right kind of thing. And another thing that I hear a lot is people are feeling like life is just on hold right now. And my only comment to that is, well, just wait until Jupiter goes retrograde. I mean, that's what puts the brakes on forward motion. So if Pluto, if the ones that are in retrograde already are not enough for you, well, get ready, because Uranus and Jupiter will be in retrograde by the end of the fall. But what I pulled out of the charts was this big underneath the surface compulsion. And there's those quindeciles, those quindeciles were in there. Not only to change, but to realign. This game is not about the same smoke and mirrors and the facades. That was all Neptune and Pisces, where it all looked one way, but really it was totally different. Like exactly what MIT announced in the markets with AI. Oh, all this corporate expenditure, everybody's implementing AI, it's going to take over the world. And they come out and they say, well, so far, 5% of it's working. The market has gone up and up and up on a facade. And the message to us is to take a look at our lives and make sure that we're not doing the same thing. Are we building on sand? And I know a lot of us are waiting for that direction. I had a call this week from Julie Jancis. She is so precious. She's been on our Subconscious Mind Mastery podcast several times. Wonderful work that she does working with angels and guides. And I think we're probably going to have her back on. But she was saying, she's in the same boat. So one of the underlying energies is this not just change, but change deeply, change the roots, change the operating system. It's big, it's deep, it's powerful, and it is radical. Problem is that most of us, all of us, can't handle that at one time. It would overpower us. And boy, you just look around. Society is zooming down the road at uncontrollable speeds, missing every signpost along the way. So how do you collectively wake that up? And that's where this broad-scale wake-up call could be looming out there. I don't know. Maybe that's some of the angst that if you're feeling, maybe it's connecting with that. I don't know. But obviously, COVID wasn't enough. And that's the only way that the culture is going to change. So if that is in the cards, it's going to take something to wake this culture up, individually and collectively. So I guess let's go with two key words, big and deep, because that's what surfaces from all of these aspects that I was looking at. If you boil it all down, it's big and it's deep and it's right there. It's like it wants to come on the scene. So what do we do? What do you and I do with our lives? How do we play this energy for ourselves? And I thought of the good old airplane. What do you hear when you get on a plane? And it's not the instructions on how to put on a seat belt. For goodness sakes, that's the stuck consciousness. That was you get on a plane and they show you how to put on a seat belt. That's the mentality that Einstein said you can't fix the problem with the same mindset that created the problem. It's the other thing they show you. Put your own mask on first. That's even a biblical principle. Make sure your own vessel is as intact as it can be and not worry about others yet, because if you are on your path, you will eventually be in the place to help others when they become true seekers. So if you have more questions than answers right now, hold the space. This was one of the other things I looked at. Saturn and Neptune are together, and they are both in retrograde. Saturn offers that element of a rock of stability, but these two planets are different energies. Saturn being structure, Neptune being ethereal. Saturn is holding the space. Neptune is flying around like a fairy up in the sky. Saturn is the sea goat climbing the mountain, a slow go on a path. Neptune is free flow without direction. They really are two bedfellows, and they are both influencing us equally on this. So the best strategy is to hold the path that you have been on until you get that new direction. And just know, with the aspect this weekend on Sunday, Sun squaring Uranus, there is a powerful under-the-surface energy that wants to point you in that direction. Everything is lit up. The nodes, there's a yod with the sun at the top. That's you, with Pluto on one side of the base and Saturn and Neptune on the other. That's what I'm saying is I could go through all the mechanics of it, but it's just one thing after another that says it wants to point us to this transformation massively. I saw something on Facebook, and I know we got to wrap up here. I saw something on Facebook that was so telling. I get various posts from the Smokies in North Carolina and a lot of the towns up there where I was living in western North Carolina. And these two elk were up on their hind legs fighting each other on the side of the road. It was obviously in the national park. And somebody was shooting this with their phone. And up comes a car, screaming right up to it. And there's a stopped car oncoming. So somebody had already stopped in the other lane. And this car was going so fast that just as the elk started to turn to go onto the road, this car had to screech and hit its brakes. Totally oblivious to what was going on. Totally going too fast. I was like, that's it. That's our blind culture. So make sure to slow down to be able to hear and see and recognize when it shows up. because it might not be loud. It very well could be soft. So our job is to stay in awareness, stay in alertness, stay focused. Don't get distracted by all the noise. Just keep following the best path that you know, your highest timeline, and then wait for the next steps to reveal. They will. Oh, they will. Or astrology doesn't work. And we saw it work this week already in the markets. And if it can work there, it can work with us too. And we're holding to that. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for listening. See you back with Merriman tomorrow, and I'll see you back on Monday.